Hey folks, it's Joe here. I'm super excited for this video today because I get to talk about my favorite thing, and that's buying investments. And this one, it's real estate and duplexes specifically. So I've got a few questions for you. How would you like to live for free, give yourself a monster raise, become a property owner, and you get to make your parents proud at the same time? If that sounds appetizing to you or any of those do, you should probably be thinking about buying a duplex. Now, a statistic for you. Here in the US, roughly 33%, one third, of an annual household expenses are due to living expenses. Paying rent, paying the mortgage, paying insurance, paying utilities, those types of things. The question is, how do we knock that out if we can, or subtract the best we can? I've got a solution for you. So, the first thing we're going to need to do is get you some money. Now, I've got a video I did, I'm going to cue it right up here, about how to save a little bit more money, acquire a little bit of net worth. Okay? If you've already watched that, or if you've saved up a bit of money, we can now proceed on. There's three main steps to get financing for a home. First one is going to be an FHA loan, which is a government loan, which is a 3.5% down on a property. So quick math, if it's a $100,000 property, you're going to put $3,500 down. Second option is to go with a local community bank, and they're going to have some preferred packages. You'll pay a little bit more in interest, but they can get a little more creative. For example, my brother, his last duplex that he bought, he was able to build in some construction loans into that. So he did the rehab in the lower unit, and he put a roof on it, and he did 10% down on that total loan. So he was only paying 10% of that roof and building out that unit below him. So that's something you can do. The third one, which is the most common one, not always the best, but the most common one, is going to be putting 20% down on a property, and that's pretty straightforward. So if it's a $100,000 home, you're going to put $20,000 down. Now that saves you for a little bit of insurance, but long story short, there's a couple different routes. It depends on your financial situation and where you're at. Moving on. You sly dog, you're probably asking, well, Joe, this all sounds great, but how do I get into this, and what do I look for in a duplex? Here's the 10,000 foot shot and overhead view. Now, if you want to see a real breakdown and by the numbers and you're analytical and you want to see those things and you want proof, hit the like button and that'll let me know that you want to see that. Or you can hit it anyways if you want to see this face a little bit more often. You're crazy if you do, but we'll do that. So here's what you're going to look to cover: mortgage, property insurance, and your taxes. If you can get those three covered, you're going to be in a pretty darn good spot. I did a quick rundown on a mortgage calculator. Then you can just plug in mortgage calculator in Google and you can get a bunch of different examples of these, but I did one on an example duplex here. So for a $150,000 duplex, which I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin, you can find these all the time sitting out on the market and in many other middle American cities. If you're talking New York or California, I'd be looking at a different option, but I just want to target middle America, what the average person's looking at here. $150,000 duplex for a down payment of 3.5%, that FHA loan, an interest rate of 4%, property taxes of $2,400 a year, homeowners insurance for $1,000 a year, which comes out to about $87 a month, and it's a 30-year fixed, which means that interest rate will not go up on you at any time, so you know this is what you're paying and that number is not going to go up. You're looking at a little bit over $1,000 a month. Now, here's where this gets really interesting. Imagine you would be paying that on a $150,000 home if it was just a single family you lived in it by yourself. That's all coming out of your pocket. You're probably like, yeah, like that's about what my rent is, or that's what I'm paying. Yeah. Let's hack the system now. That's why this is called a house hacking a duplex. You rent out one of the sides of the duplex Now in my market, all day you're getting $800 for like a 2-bedroom unit that's 2 bed, 1 bath. That's something in this area for 150 grand. We are actually closer to the $1,000 area, but even if you're under rented at $800, you're getting that. So we can get 1,000. Let's just say it's 800. At $800, you're roughly at $300 out of pocket here, plus your utilities. So if you're instead of paying that $800 or $1,000 a month in rent, you can get this for $300 plus your utilities, and that's your living expenses. Like, that's a huge saver. Think about this. So you have $800 a month coming in rent. What that factors out to is roughly 10 grand a year. It's 9,600 that you're bringing in income. So if you make $40,000 a year, you just gave yourself a $10,000 raise. If you're making $30,000 a year, you just gave yourself a $10,000 raise. This is a huge, immense money mover for the standard American. If you don't have much money, much of a net worth, this is an absolute game changer for your financial future. And the earlier you can do this, the more it's going to help you. Here are some other advantages. So you've got that monster raise you're giving yourself again. $800 a month, that comes up to almost 10 grand a year. You've got principal pay down. So that renter, that mortgage portion, they're going to be paying it for you. So your rent is getting paid, your mortgage is getting paid. So after 30 years, even if that property doesn't go up in value, you have $150,000 sitting in that property. You didn't put a dollar into it. Next, you have property value increases. In 30 years, even in 5 years, that property is likely going to be worth substantially more than what you bought it for. And that's just you sitting there not doing anything for that. Free money, so to speak. You have tax write-offs. And I'm not going to get too far into this on this video, but you've got depreciation, mortgage interest, property taxes, and if you're working from home or you have a type of side hustle or job that requires you to work from home, you have office space write-off as well. Next, you're living for free or darn close to it. You have hacked that expense, that 33%, all the way or partially out of your life. Good for you. The last thing, most people don't talk about this one, and I think this is super underrated. When you're a property owner, you get to choose the updates to your property and the way you want to take that property into the future. You get to choose the color paint, the style of cabinets, what appliances go into the units, everything. You get control over those. You can have a much higher end looking home. You can bring the property value up. You can keep it about where it's at, and you get to choose what it looks like. Those before and after pictures, you're in charge of those. Not only is that good for the property, but it's super empowering, and it's great. It's great for, you and your investing head. Get that thing rolling. Let's go. Disadvantages. With anything, you're likely going to have some disadvantages, and I've probably got a number of people that are like, Joe, what about tenants? What about the money I have to put down? What if the roof goes out? Here we go. So you've got upfront cash. So the FHA, you've got the 3.5% down. Conventional, you've got 20% down. You need to have that money. So you need to have that money controlled first. You also need some reserves. So depending on the price of the home, I would recommend at a minimum having $5,000 in reserves at all times, and more likely closer to the 7,500 to 10 grand area, depending on the size of home you're getting. For this $150,000 duplex, 5 grand or a little bit more is going to be roughly where I would start with that. You can also talk to your banker to see what they would prefer you have as well if you're looking for a second, very professional opinion. Next, we've got tenants. Finding them, getting the paperwork done, making sure they're on a good lease, making sure they're not some crazy nut job who's a hoarder. There's many ways around this. You can get a property management company to do it for you. You can hire it out for a small fee. That you can hire property management just to do the screening process, and you just take the few phone calls that come in a year. And you can just do your own research if it's something you're really growth mindset on and you want to do a little bit of Googling, or attend a local real estate investor meetup. They'll have those forms for you often. You can find them on websites such as Bigger Pockets if you want to check those out. Now, Tenants, this is the biggest one I've ever heard of people like, hey, why don't you get some rentals? They're like, I don't want phone calls at 2 a.m. My brother and I, we've got 9 duplexes together, and the number of times we've had people reaching out at obscene hours to our property management company or to us, 0. They go on to a software, they type in what's going on, and we fix it, whether it's a door, creaky door, whether it's a dripping faucet. It's always something, almost always something small, and they're few and far between, and they're hardly ever emergencies, hardly ever. Those horror stories you hear, they're crazy, they're far out examples. Think about this. You've likely been a renter. How many times have you had some catastrophic thing happen where you called your landlord or contacted him at 2 a.m? I'll wait. I was a renter for about 7-8 years, and I've contacted landlords, all of them, cumulative total, twice, and it was over just minor stuff. Nothing crazy. Fridge went out once, I can't remember the other one, but I reached out twice to landlords. It's not as common as you think. Usually if somebody's sharing some crazy horror experience, they're probably hiding something else that they weren't doing as a landlord, or some major mistake they made, and they just want to take the blame and focus it on the tenant. Tenant's just a person like anybody else. Good communication's key. The last one is the lack of privacy. You're like, oh, I don't want to deal with screaming, yelling, sharing a driveway. Here's the thing, right? I live in Green Bay, Wisconsin. A lot of Packer fans here. I rarely ever hear the tenants that we are with because we're in a duplex ourselves, my brother and I. If it's Packer game Sunday, and I hear some yelling and cheering through the wall, that's a sign that my neighbors are happy and the Green Bay Packers are scoring. Basically, the only times I'm ever hearing them, really. I'll also throw it this way. If I have to hear some occasional noise for $10,000 a year, I'm going to take that money. Right? I'm trying to achieve something with my net worth. I'm trying to invest in myself and get something going. And I'm willing to make a small sacrifice for an extra 10 grand a year, so to speak, right? Which one do you want more, 10 grand or a slight uncomfortableness? It's not a big deal. It's not like you're in college where you're living on top of each other and you're all sleeping in the same 10 by 10 square. These are houses. So, in summary, you can keep paying landlords like me your money, or you can become the landlord yourself. You can repeat this process over and over and over again. And this is one of the easiest ways, where if you did this 5-6 times, you can move it out every 2 years or so into a new one and keep getting these loans. And you can build yourself towards financial freedom in a hurry doing this. Or you can just add yourself $10,000 a year if that's what you want. You want to live in a duplex for the next 20 years. Whatever you want to do. Or you can keep living in your parents' basement. Whatever floats your boat. So, like if you want to see a really in-depth breakdown of a duplex that I've bought, or how to buy one or acquiring a property, I can also do them on single-family homes, whatever you want. Comment below what you're looking for. Hit the like button, smash it if you want. Follow me over on Instagram if you're feeling crazy. Thank you so much for your time, and have a great day.